Und da sind wir wieder. Ich habe gegessen und wir sind bei Episode 6. Ich hatte gerade Abendessen, Pizza wurde geliefert und ja, habe ich ja in der letzten Episode gesagt. Hier, das Licht hat noch gefehlt, deswegen sah es so komisch aus. Ja, in der letzten Episode haben wir herausgefunden, was Naruhodo so alles kauft, beziehungsweise Ryonosuke Naruhodo. Und wofür Susato und er sich am meisten von ihren Possessions, von ihren Besitztümern interessieren, was ihnen am wichtigsten ist. Und jetzt haben wir die Episode in Mr. Natsumes Room. Mr. Natsume, Soseki Natsume, war der Angeklagte im vierten Fall. Ein Autor und Englischstudent. Und ich habe gelernt, tatsächlich erst nachdem ich das Spiel durchgehabt hatte, dass Soseki Natsume ein echter Autor war. Also den gab es wirklich, der hat wirklich Bücher geschrieben. Der vierte Fall hieß ja The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro. Also Kokoro heißt Heart, also Herz. Und er hat auch tatsächlich, es gibt ein Buch von Soseki Natsume in echt, was The Adventure of the was einfach nur Kokoro heißt. Nicht The Adventure of the Clouded Kokoro, aber es heißt einfach nur Kokoro. Finde ich sehr interessant und ich bin am Überlegen, vielleicht da sogar mal selber reinzulesen, weil ich fand den Charakter cool. Ich fand den Charakter von Soseki Natsume cool. Vielleicht, weil er auch ein Englischstudent ist wie ich. Ich weiß es nicht, ich mochte ihn aber. Ja, aber so viel erstmal dazu. Wir spielen jetzt Episode 6 in Mr. Natsume's Room. In this escapade in Mr. Natsume's room, it's so weird that the Japanese scholar was once a teacher of English. He has much to say on the cultural differences between Japan and Britain, as well as on sentimentality, Shakespeare and cycling. Oha, also kriegen wir wohl eine English Lesson hier. Let's do this. Oh Gott, sein Zimmer. So sieht es bei mir hier eigentlich auch aus. Also ich habe hier auch kein Fenster. Ich habe hier auch nur so zugemauert. 23rd February, 6:09 p.m. Nice. Mr. Natsume's room. So, Mr. Natsume, are you really returning home? To Japan? Yes, indeed I am. Everything is arranged already. We'll be sad to see you go. And after Runo worked so hard to prove your innocence as well. What a shame. It feels like it was all a wasted effort. Don't say that! I know what you're suggesting. Now calm down, Mr. Natsume. It's all fine, really. You are in good company here, sir. If you fear the Reaper, you needn't hide the fact. Oh, look. I am a proud citizen of the Empire of Japan. I'm not a scaredy cat. Genau, es gibt ja noch den Fluch des Reapers von Barock von Siegs, dass irgendwie alle, die nicht schuldig gesprochen wurden, sterben trotzdem. Talking of cats, Mr. Jones just casually threw one among the pigeons here. A man like me belongs in Japan, not here. That's what I've come to realize. I wonder. A moustache such as yours is eminently suited to London, I would say. There goes Mr. Jones throwing another cat in. The moment I arrived in the city, I noticed. Everyone in London laughs at me behind my back, like hyenas. Hysterical hyenas howling horribly. I'm sure that's not true, Mr. Natsume. Oh, but it is. Whenever I turn around and peer down the fog-filled street, all I see is foreigners everywhere. Well, there's you, Runo, and Susie in here, so that's 3 foreigners out of 5 people. I take your point. Only the other day, I was taking a stroll through the fog as usual, when a young man approached me from ahead. He was pale and gaunt, his back arched like a cat. Observing his wretchedness moved me so deeply. Ah, I thought to myself, I'm not the only one suffering in this hell. But, do you know what? Can you imagine? It was just my own reflection in a shop window. A stunning, stinging, stupefying surprise. Don't forget slap in the face. Everyone started laughing at me. Gentlemen thereabouts, ladies passing by. Even the man in the shop window. Ah, yes. And a certain great detective would like to be included among the mirthful. Damn, Herlock knows no chill. Ah! Mr. Sholmes is really going for Soseki-san today. Well, I for one think you're a very handsome man, Mr. Natsume. There, did you hear that? This 10-year-old girl thinks you're handsome. Isn't that wonderful? That makes me feel suspiciously warm inside. He looks genuinely delighted. The point is, we Japanese are humble and modest. Studying on foreign soil, surrounded by foreign people. How could anyone possibly enjoy that? Was in Japanese? Humble and modest, okay. No one could. It's impossible, if you're a genuine Japanese. If you say so. Actually, it would appear that there is someone. A Japanese man who studied in a foreign country and seems to have thrived on the experience. Wer das wohl ist? There is? Mr. Ogai Mori. I believe he studied in Germany. Oh, in Deutschland? Ogai Mori. Ich dachte, sie redet jetzt von Rionosuke, weil wir ja auch in England studieren gerade, aber Mr. Ogai Mori, I believe he studied in Germany. Mr. Mori? Pray, tell us more of the fellow. Well, today he's a very successful author in Japan. Oh, I've heard of him. He's the professor who wrote My Hime, isn't he? My Hime? I suppose in English the title would be Dancing Queen, maybe? Oh, I see. A tale of a woman who waltzed her way through the world, perhaps? You really needn't make up a silly translation, you know? It's already officially called The Dancing Girl in English. It seems Mr. Mori greatly enjoyed his time in Germany. He became close with a local lady while he was there. Close, you say? With a local lady? A compatriot's criminally contradictory conduct. Well, I suppose your experience of studying abroad depends to a large extent on your character. As they say, many minds. Mr. Mori has an open mind. Mr. Natsume has a closed one. Possibly a slightly black and white view, do you think, Mr. Sholmes? Well, anyway. If that's how you feel about being abroad, why did you choose to study here? Wasn't it to further our nation's understanding of the English language or something? Yes, that's right. So what were you doing in Japan before you came to Great Britain then? I was a school teacher. Of English, of course. A bit cursory perhaps, but I've managed to discover some information about Mr. Natsume's teaching days. Was heißt cursory? Cursory. Oberflächlich, okay. That's just a little outside the field of law, isn't it, Mr. Sato? Well, let me pose you a question, Mr. Naruhodo. If you had to translate the English phrase I love you into Japanese, what would it become? Was? Ich glaube, ich wusste das mal, aber keine Ahnung, ich bin kein Weeb. Nee, also, no front, ne, hier, ne, also, wer Japanisch kann, es ist episch, wenn jemand Japanisch kann, ich kann es leider nicht. That's easy. Aishiteru or Suki desu. Ich hatte irgendwas Ich hatte irgendwas mit D im Kopf und Desu, ja, Desu war was davon, aber, also es hört sich bekannt an, irgendwie Desu, aber I don't know, that's easy. Ashitero or Tsuki Desu. Wrong! According to Mr. Natsume's teachings, at least. What? Would you like to explain, Mr. Natsume? Yes, of course. Your research was very thorough. I always used to tell my students that we Japanese don't express ourselves that way. Rather, we might say Tsuki ga kirei desune. Ah, desune habe ich auch schon mal gehört. Okay. My dear Mr. Natsume, I must interject. Tsuki ga kirei desune would translate as the moon is beautiful, isn't it? I know that! The point is that we Japanese are reticent when it comes to expressing our emotions. Reticent? Zurückhaltend? Ja, zurückhaltend. Same actually. We prefer to show our feelings of adoration, our Tsuki, by appreciating the beauty of the moon. The Tsuki. Ah, using the Tsuki to express Tsuki. It's an amusing play on words, I see. Okay, das ist sehr interessant. No, or in language you might understand better, bad Jones. It's not a play on words. It's subtle, it's humble, it's fleeting and beautiful. It's art. Isn't it just being shy? Ah. Ich glaube, Japanisch wäre eine Sprache für mich, wenn es um Schüchternheit geht. My dear fellow, the foreign dancing girl will forever be out of your reach with such an attitude. Imagine how the great Mr. Mori would act. He would win the lady's heart in a flash with a well-placed and unrestrained I love you. Ah! That smooth Mr. Mori! Am I destined to live in his shadow forever? Just what sort of man is he in that imagination of yours? The fact is, I just can't settle in this foggy London town with all its foreign inhabitants. I've lost count of the number of different lodgings I tried before I found myself here. As it happens, I even lived on Baker Street at one time. No, really? A Sao scholar lives near there, a man by the name of William James Craig. His knowledge of Sao is unsurpassed. He's been a great inspiration to me over the... Was ist Sao? Irgendeine japanische Form? Forgive the interruption, but... Am I supposed to be familiar with the Sao of which you speak? Ja, habe ich mich gerade auch gefragt. It's Shakespeare, of course. Shakespeare. But in Japanese, we write it as S-R-and-O. Sword Art Online. Pogas. Sao, okay. It's a phonetic representation using kanji characters. So England is Igirisu and America is America. Okay. Come to think of it, we use the same character as we in the word and risu in another. Talk about confusing. Igirisu. So Shakespeare is Sao in Japanese. Presumably the Sa is a brutally attempt at the first Sha, in which case, where's the Shakespeare? I never thought of that, we only have the O left. Which could, even in the most charitable interpretation, only be a brutal attempt at old man. It seems to me that whoever had the job of deciding on the character for his name got bored very early on. Complete kanji character catastrophe. So then, on to the burning question. What about me? How do you write my name? Sorry? Herlock Sholmes, my dear fellow. There must be Japanese characters for my name. Okay, also O ist Old Man oder was? Oh dear. I am sorry, Mr. Sholmes, but none exists that I'm aware of. What? Am I really nothing to you Japanese? In that case, it is a matter of paramount importance. You must construct my name in kanji at once. Oh, well, we could use a kanji that's pronounced so to start with, and then use one more to give so-oh, perhaps? I think that would be about right, Mr. Sholmes. So-oh? But that's almost the same as so, isn't it? Yes, you employed the dreaded O. I don't want people to confuse me with an old man who died centuries ago. I'm sure the world's greatest literary figure would rather not be confused with you either. Well, the world's greatest detective is still youthful and full of vigor. So how about so handsome? Yep, so handsome. Oh yes, that sounds wonderful. I'm sure everyone will be calling you that 100 years from now. How can she say that with a straight face? Ja, also wir kennen doch alle Sherlock Holmes als so handsome. Ich meine Sherlock Holmes. What about me then? Iris. Perhaps Aihime? Since the second character doesn't seem to matter? Aihime. Oh yes, Princess of Love. That's an adorable name for you, Iris. Das ist ein süßer Name. Stop! Please! With a name like that, Mr. Maui is likely to turn up at any moment and rashly declare I love you. This Maui-san has become quite a character in Soseki-san's mind. And you, Mr. Naruhodo. Might I venture Kurobozu as a fitting name for you? As in the Dark Monk. Bitte was? Oh, that's very good. It describes you perfectly, Bruno. So you think I'll be wearing this black varsity uniform for the rest of my days, do you? But Mr. Naruhodo already has a Japanese name. I don't believe he needs another. Well, anyway. We were talking about your life here in London, weren't we, Mr. Natsume? You should just get out and have fun. The landlady has said as much to me too. Miss Scary Depp? But it wasn't fun at all. It was frightful. Whatever do you mean? A cycle incident! An incident? On a bicycle? Oh, yes, come to think of it. Ach ja, draußen war das kaputte Fahrrad. Als ob das jetzt vorkommt, was das war. Nicht der Plotpoint, an dem ich gedacht hätte, dass der noch gelöst wird. Aber good to know. There's an old bicycle parked just outside, isn't there? It's in a sorry state though. I tried to say no to her, but she insisted I took it for a ride. Perhaps my pronunciation was wrong. So I took my life in my hands and attempted to ride the steel spider-webbed stallion to a nearby park. I really don't think there's anything wrong with your pronunciation, Mr. Natsume. Joan Garrett just isn't the kind of woman to take no for an answer. If you're going to die, you might as well die in beautiful surroundings, so the park was my first thought. After a whole day of dicing with death, I emerged with only relatively minor bruises. So, you got the knack of it. Don't be silly. Dying isn't something you can learn to do. Mr. Natsume, you keep talking about dicing with death and dying and so forth, but riding a bicycle is supposed to be fun. Oh no, that's just what people tell you, but it's an old wives' tale. Is it? I mean, just consider the real name of the vehicle. It's not called a dicycle for nothing. How anyone expects to use such an aptly named vehicle to move forwards is beyond me. Pedal power promises pain. I didn't think it was possible to get worse with practice. I'm lucky to be alive. Although, I must say, After looking death in the eye for a whole week, I did at least manage to mount the steed reliably. And notwithstanding a few wobbles, I found I could make progress in the forward direction. What a triumph. Deduction is much the same. When first presented with a problem, the mental exertion of trying to solve it leads only to bitter disappointment. But after a week of picking one's way carefully along the path of reasoning and thought, one begins to see results. So, is that why all of your off-the-cuff deductions always seem half-baked? What a wonderful insight into your extraordinary mind, Mr. Jones. Unfortunately, after wobbling down the street, I noticed there were little stones everywhere. Death traps. Not that way, I said to myself. But the wild vehicle wouldn't listen. It rolled me on and on down the streets. So of course, I hit one of these deadly stones, and the crazy code through me. Just my luck. Bicycles are the epitome of my pitiful life. I wish I could disagree. On the same subject, I'm sure there's a famous American author who's written about having a similar experience. Oh yes, I've read that essay too, Iris. Some of us are better read than others. Well, no more bicycles for me. Oh, Mr. Natsume, at least you have an interesting anecdote to take with you back to Japan, if nothing else. You always manage to put a positive spin on things, don't you, Miss Susato? Personally, I haven't mounted a bicycle for some time. No, me neither. That's good. So how about a jaunt? We shall all ride out together. Huh? That sounds great. I'll perch behind Miss Susato. But the sun is going down. It will be pitch black before long. London street lamps are very bright, you know, and the fog isn't too thick today. And my beloved ride is all bent out of shape. My dear fellow, if you are bound to topple the vehicle anyway, it's fitting that it's already bent out of shape. It settles then. Come along, Mr. Natsume. Shall we go? Tsukiga Kirei desu ne. Oh, was hat er? Entschuldigung. What, stop. Don't tell me that's a translation of no thank you as well. Indeed, Mr. Natsume, the moon is at its most beautiful at precisely this time in the evening. Oh. We are not Japanese. You can't beat around the bush with us. What a weird and wonderful world! Oh Mann. War's das? Das war wieder eine der besseren Eskapaden tatsächlich. Japanisch lernen mit Natsume. Ja, cool. Ich weiß nicht, ob das alles stimmt. Ich habe null Japanischkenntnisse, aber fand ich eine sehr coole Folge. Gut, dann haben wir jetzt Episode 6 gespielt. Und als nächstes kommt Episode 7 on Briar Road. Okay. Ja gut, dann bedanke ich mich fürs Zuschauen, bedanke mich fürs dabei sein. Und wir sehen uns in der nächsten Episode wieder. Ciao, ciao und so weiter. Ne? Bis dann und Einspruch. Bis dann, ciao, ciao.